Herr Mannelig is a late medieval or early modern Swedish song with a lot of interesting cultural stuff within it that I think would be interesting to analyze, which I think would be interesting to discuss and give you a taste of, my dear viewers. I will start and play a recording of the song. Then I will go through the song line by line, explaining various cultural elements and various ways you can interpret this song, because it is very fascinating and connected to a lot of Swedish history and culture.
Bittida en morgon innan solen upprann, innan foglarna började sjunga, Bergatrollet friade till fager ungersven. Hon hade en falskeliger tunga. Herr Mannelig, trolofven i mig, för det jag bjuder så gerna. I kunnen väl svara endast ja eller nej, om i viljen eller ej. Eder vill jag giva dig gångare 12, som gå ut i rosendelunde. Aldrig har det varit någon sadel upp på den, mig heller betsel ut i munnen. Eder vill jag giva dig kvarnarna 12, som står mellan Tille och Tärnö. Stenarna det är och av rödaste guld, och julen silverbeslagna. Eder vill jag giva ett förgyllande svärd, som klingar uta 15 guldringar, och strida hur du i strida vill. Stridsplatsen skolan i väl vinna. Eder vill jag giva i skjorta så ny, den bästa i lusten att slita. Inte är hon sömnad av nål eller tråd, men virkat av silket det vita. Sådana gåvor tog jag väl emot om du vore en kristelig kvinna. Men nu så är du det värsta bergatroll, av näcken så djävulen stämma. Bergatrollet ut på dörren sprang, hon rister och jamrar sig svåra. Hade jag fått en fager ungersven, så hade jag mistat min plåga. Herr Mannelig, trolofven i mig, för det jag bjuder så gärna. I kunnen väl svara endast ja eller nej, om i viljen eller ej.
Now let's start with the analysis of this song. Bittida en morgon innan solen upprann, innan foglarna började sjunga. Bergatrollet friade till fager ungersven. Early one morning, before the sun rose, before the birds began to sing, the mountain troll proposed to a fair young man. Now the first thing to notice is that it is early one morning, before the sun rose. And in Swedish folklore, the time just around dawn and dusk is known as the time where the trolls are the most active, where the magical creatures of the forest, of the wilds, are most active. And we see this female troll propose to the fair young man, the beautiful young man, fager ungersven. Sven is a word that is usually used for unmarried men or apprentices in a master-apprentice relationship. But Sven can also mean squire, and sometimes even be used about a knight that is under a higher lord. And it has connotations of being a junior partner or subordinate. As for the troll, there is actually a lot of Swedish folklore about troll women being extremely beautiful women that tempt men, and with troll women trying to get married to high status human men, or at the least tempt them into becoming mates. and to tempt men away from true Christianity. And also, troll has sometimes been used for non-Christians and not for the magical creatures. Hon hade en falskeliger tunga, Herr Mannelig, trolofven i mig, för det jag bjuder så gärna. She had a deceitful tongue. Sir Mannelig, will you be betrothed to me? For I offer these gifts so gladly. Now, from these lines, we get to know that she has a deceitful tongue. And we get to know the name of the person that she proposes to. Herr Mannelig. Mannelig is not only a name, but also means manly. To emphasize that this is a very manly, fine man. And Herr means also sir, but also lord in some contexts as well, further pointing towards this probably being a noble. And trolls offering gifts to ensnare people in their schemes is a part of classical traditional Swedish folklore, where the gifts usually are fantastical and extremely extravagant at the same time. I kunnen väl svara endast ja eller nej, om i viljen eller ej. Eder vill jag giva, det gångare 12 som gå ut i rosenlunde. Aldrig har det varit någon sadel och på dem, ej heller betsel ut i munnen. You can well answer only yes or no, whether you will or not. To you I will give the 12 steeds that walk in the rose grove. Never has there been any saddle upon them, nor bit in their mouths. In Scandinavian folklore, trolls are heavily tied to nature, and also tied to various numbers, 12 being one of these magical numbers that they are tied to. And steeds are very precious and thus offered here as a gift. And she offers 12 steeds. And they are said to never had a saddle upon them or a bit in their mouths. Not only implying that they have never been used by anyone else, thus making them even more precious, but also implying that they are wild, like nature, that she is a part of. It can also imply that the steeds, in a kind of trickery tradition of trolls, are so hard to control that it is impossible to saddle them or get a bit into their mouths. Thus, these horses could potentially be kind of a cursed gift in a way that isn't actually good at all. And then you have the rose grove, and roses are associated with magical beings as well, and groves are also nature places, also associated with trolls and magical beings of the forest. Furthermore, roses are beautiful but also thorny, and you can easily get pricked when trying to take a flower, just like taking the gifts from this troll woman. Eder vill jag giva de kvarnarna 12 som står mellan Tillö och Tärnö. Stenarna de äro av rödaste gull och hjulen silverbeslagna. To you I will give the 12 mills that stand between Tillö and Tärnö. The millstones are of the reddest gold, and the wheels are bound with silver. Here the number 12 is reoccurring, and you also have the fact that you have the reddest gold. Red is actually a color associated with gold in Nordic traditions, and high quality gold is often referred to as red gold. But red has also an association naturally with blood and bloodshed, meaning that these millstones grinding down stuff can have a symbolism associated with some sort of disaster that will occur if this gift is accepted, like being grinded down in a war, since Herr Mannelig is very likely to be a knight. Also, rödaste gull is high quality gold, as I said before, and they also mentioned silver, making this into an extraordinarily precious gift, a temptation of earthly desire. Eder vill jag giva ett förgyllande svärd som klingar utav 15 guldringar och strida huru i strida vill. Stridsplatsen skolen ni väl vinna. To you I will give a gilded sword that rings with 15 gold rings, and however you may fight, the battlefield you shall surely win. Again, a very precious gift, and also another number that is associated with trolls and magic, 15, and rings is mentioned, and rings are usually cursed objects, indicating that this sword might be a cursed object, as it is connected to golden rings. And golden rings tend to be cursed objects in Nordic folklore and mythology. And it is actually possible that J.R.R. Tolkien borrowed this idea about rings being cursed objects for his work The Lord of the Rings, with the one ring being the evil cursed ring. And the troll woman here promises victory on the battlefield for this Herr Mannelig, which again further strengthens the interpretation that Herr Mannelig is a squire or knight, since a squire or knight would find themselves on a battlefield potentially. Eder vill jag giva en skjorta så ny, den bästa i lysten att slita. Inte är hon sömnad av nål eller tråd, men virkat av silket det vita. To you I will give a shirt so new, the finest you could wish to wear. It is not sewn with needle or thread, but crocketed, woven of the white silk. This is another precious, clearly supernatural gift offered to be given to Mannelig. It is a supernatural gift because it breaks order and symbolic of false purity, with the white silk being made not with a needle or thread. So it is born of magic and not of true nature, not of virtuous work. It is an impossible gift that, like the other gifts, glitter like the devil's temptations, wealth, power, and beauty, but all are corrupt versions of real gifts. Or at the very least, the song includes indications that these gifts are not what they seem, always. Sådana gåvor tog jag väl emot om du vore en kristerlig kvinna, men nu så är du det värsta bergatroll av näckens och djävulens stämma. Such gifts I would well receive if you were a Christian woman, but now you are the worst mountain troll of the necks and the devil's kin. Now in these lines we can see that Mannelig rejects this troll, or potentially this pagan, as troll can sometimes be used as a term to describe a pagan, since he rejects her since she is not a Christian. But now you are the worst mountain troll. And she likens her to being of the kin of Näcken, which is a water spirit in Swedish folklore, which is also connected to ancient god worship. And I've even made a previous video about Näcken, please check it out. And being connected to Näcken is like being connected to heathen practices about worshipping this water spirit that in Swedish folklore tends to drown people. And he also sometimes plays music for people as well. And she is also said to be of the devil's kin or djävulens stämma, which can also be the voice of the devil, putting her in opposition to the good Christian knight, Sir Mannelig, who rejects her temptations, the temptations of the devil and of paganism. Bergatrollet ut på dörren sprang. Hon rister och jämrar sig svåra. Hade jag fått en fager ungersven, så hade jag mistat min plåga. The mountain troll ran out through the door. She shakes and laments greatly. Had I gotten that fair young man, then I would have lost my torment. Now, the troll woman escaping and fleeing has to do with trolls usually being afraid of true believers, of strong Christian faith. Trolls tend to avoid people of strong Christian faith, and they also run away from church bells and other Christian objects in a lot of Swedish folklore. Notice also that she goes out through the door, which implies that she is going out into nature, which trolls are associated with. Her going away can also be seen as reflecting how Mannelig is rejecting not only her, but everything she represents in the unbaptized world of nature, paganism and sin. Since she is referred to as being of Näckens and of the devil's kin, she can be seen as representing temptation and damnation that is rejected by Mannelig. And we can also see the troll's lament, because she did not succeed with seducing him. The torment part is pretty interesting because it implies that the troll woman might have actually sincerely loved Mannelig. But since she is a creature of paganism and sin, it was impossible for Mannelig to accept her. She might have also been cursed in some way through having associated with pagan elements and thus been condemned as a troll through that. And thus salvation has been denied her, and she was seeking salvation through courting Mannelig, as this is sometimes also a theme with certain troll folklore, of troll women seeking good men to marry them as a way to bring themselves to salvation. And this is a song with very deep themes inside of it regarding Christian religiosity and the other, the non-Christian. It is a tragic song in a way, but to a Christian audience it reinforced moral purity, to never consort with the devil's brood or the damned, the pagan, the non-Christian. But there is also an element of exclusion here, a being yearning for light, yearning for love, rejected by a world that offered her no mercy. There is this conflict between human Christian faith and wild nature with this troll woman, where the troll's gifts represent worldly temptation and rejecting them represents virtue from Mannelig. And there is also an element of salvation and damnation here as well. Her plea might be sincere. She seeks salvation in a way through love in this song, if you interpret it that way, that she was sincere in her love for Mannelig. And this also connects to a certain type of alienation in the song. The outsider's longing for acceptance. She is damned not by any evil acts, except possibly the gifts being false, but by her very nature of being a troll. And by being a troll, being accused of having a false tongue, of being deceiving. Because the song is sung like a discourse between her and between Mannelig. And there are also pretty interesting gender and power analyses you could make here, where the woman, the troll, offers, pleads and tempts the man, yet she is silenced and cast out by the moral authority symbolized in the man, in Mannelig, whose very name means manly. So this could also be interpreted as the moral authority of a good Christian man rejecting a non-Christian woman, or a woman that behaves like a non-Christian due to her sinful nature. And through this reaction preserves the sacred Christian marriage and its holiness, despite the offered gifts as a temptation. Herr Mannelig, trolofven i mig. För det jag bjuder så gärna. I kunnen väl svara, endast ja eller nej, och med viljen eller ej. Sir Mannelig, will you be betrothed to me? For I offer so gladly. You can well answer only yes or no, whether you will or not. And this is a repetition of her proposal again, which actually, since she mentions her own torment before, could actually be interpreted as her seeking redemption by her second attempt at this, by trying to escape the torment of not being a proper Christian, of trying to become better in order to win the heart of Herr Mannelig. So the previous lines could kind of be her own epiphany that if she had gotten him, then she would have been saved, and thus she returns to him to get salvation, to convert, to become a Christian woman in a second attempt that mirrors the first, but must not necessarily be the same. So these last lines might be a salvation story yet, which is a big theme in Christianity generally. And this song has also been interpreted as having a lot of Christian mystical allegories within it, where the true woman embodies what Christianity once declared unredeemed, the wild, instinctive, the passionate, nature-bound self. The true woman is not evil in a demonic sense, always, but of another world, untamed, sensual, and yearning for warmth. She longs for the light of spirit, the light of God, symbolized by Herr Mannelig, the moral authority, the Christian knight. Her proposal is more than marriage, it's a plea for salvation, for union with the divine order and purity, but she offers it through temptation, not repentance, through gifts, not grace. That's her tragedy. She seeks love through bargain and beauty, because she doesn't know any other way to act. And Herr Mannelig represents not merely a man, but a Christian soul and divine order, proud, pure, unyielding. He stands as the light of reason and faith, refusing corruption, but also refusing compassion, for it has not been earned. He shows that salvation in his world is conditional. He can only accept her if she has repented, if she has already become what she has not yet become. Thus, his refusal is both moral and tragic. He keeps his purity, but she does not redeem herself, except at the second attempt, when she does not offer any gifts, but might be interpreted as offering herself. And this was Herr Mannelig, a famous Swedish song that still resonates. And Herr Mannelig survives in Swedish culture and in Swedish music culture in countless modern recordings and versions, from folk choirs to metal bands, because it captures the tension between compassion and condemnation and salvation. It's both beautiful and cruel and tragic at the same time. The truth's love and sorrow make her human, vulnerable, even as her own nature condemns her, and the good nature of Herr Mannelig rejects her at first. And I hope you found this old Swedish song and the analysis of it interesting and to your liking. Please post comments and ask questions in the comment section, and I will respond to you as quickly as possible.
Please do subscribe, as it would help the channel spread awareness about the humanities.
اشتركوا بالقناة من فضلكم.